Stop, the newest game from Annapurna Interactive. In Last Stop, we follow 3 characters in London that go through 3 separate stories that all culminate into one final chapter. In each story, we get to go through journeys with our main character and learn more about their trials and tribulations in their lives. Last Stop is an interactive narrative. You get to determine what your characters say, but not really much of what they do. And each dialogue choice feels a bit similar, no matter which option you choose. To be clear, this isn't a Telltale game where your decisions are really supposed to matter. Because by the end of Chapter 7, which is the final chapter in which all of our characters come together, you only really get to decide then on what each character should do. But the journey that you go on with each of these characters will leave you wanting more. And I myself can't wait for the next chapter in Last Stop from Annapurna. The 3 stories we follow in Last Stop are all separated into chapters. You have to finish each chapter per character in order to move on. So all chapter 1s have to be completed before you go on to chapter 2, whichever story you find the most compelling. For me, that story was Stranger Danger. This was the most engaging story of the 3 and had the most mystery to it. Like something written out of a Stephen King novel, Stranger Danger brings us the supernatural mystery of a guy who is taking people into his apartment and they're not coming out. We follow a teenage girl who has problems at home with her mother and sister and problems with her friends and not realizing whether her friend is good and coming to terms with her romantic feelings for another. This was the story that most connected to me. And I feel that if you're into supernatural storytelling, or if you like mystery novels, this one will be your cup of tea as well. My second favorite story was Domestic Affairs. This came off almost as a spy thriller, as we follow a former Army vet navigating life at a mysterious agency where she has been trained and is a true detective. There's even some new mechanics placed in her story where you get to zoom in on a character and inspect them to determine their threat level, suspicion level, or overall just mannerisms. The main character of Domestic Affairs is almost going through a midlife crisis as she deals with infidelity in her marriage and her trying to be an upstanding mom but failing. This story had the internal struggle and the difference to use a woman in this role was A+ material that Annapurna is giving us. It's not something we see every day, to see female characters go through the struggles that she did. The story that didn't stick out most to me was Paper Dolls, as it's just another Freaky Friday. Though there is a twist to this one, and in the end, to me, this one had the most impacting choice. And while I won't reveal that here, let's just say, it's not always easy to give up a body in which you're younger, faster, more handsome looking, and overall in better health. Last Stop gives us 3 fascinating characters, all at points in their life where something important is changing within them. But one thing I wish Last Stop would have done is given the players more choice. While we get to choose the dialogue options on what they say, the story is going to play out one way no matter how you make your character feel. No matter if you decide to engage in romantic relations early or whether or not you decide to completely break off your love affair doesn't truly matter here. It's all going to play out the same way. Until the very end where each character you get one choice. And that choice determines their true ending. But if this game went more along the lines of a Telltale classic, then I believe this game would have been a 10 out of 10. That is how much I enjoyed it. But since we are lacking those few choices and consequences in an interactive narrative, then obviously some points would have to be taken away. But overall, I would say that Last Stop is definitely worth playing, especially if you own Xbox Game Pass. I, for one, can't wait to see what narrative-driven game we get from Annapurna Interactive next, and because you'll bet that this has put a smile on my face and a good taste in my mouth for narrative story-driven games. I'm Alex, also known as Daze, and this has been my review of Last Stop.